Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and it's mailbag time here. Mitchell Renz from Chat Sports, ready to answer all of your questions. Friendly reminder that all the questions that you see here on today's show were recorded when we went live on Tuesday, so if anything changes, don't get too upset. I mean, you can yell at me in the comments, but just remember, it's from Tuesday. First one rolling in here is from Brian. Did you see Tafur said the Raiders could bring back Gruden? What's funny about this is I had probably 5 or 10 DMs this morning when I walked into work and be like, yo, did you see that Tafur said Gruden can come back to the Raiders? You got to read it more in context. He said, he wouldn't be surprised if Gruden came back to the Raiders after or if McDaniels and Ziegler failed. I mean, I'll be real with you. This doesn't make any sense. Bringing back Gruden to this Raiders team would be one of the stupidest things ever you could possibly do. So I get that they're good friends, Gruden and Mark. But no, there's a 0% chance that Gruden ever comes back to the Raiders. But Jeremy's going to try to trigger y'all, and he finally gets to use this. Who's the better head coach? Better head coach. Is it Josh McDaniels, type JM, or is it Jon Gruden, type JG? I will say, if we're even using the word better in this, I mean, this is bad. I mean, if this is all we have to pick from, it's not great. Jeremy just said, would you rather have a shit or a turd? Which, saying that out loud, is unbelievable. You guys can let me know who's the better head coach. I'm not a big fan of Gruden. We all kind of know where I stand on Josh McDaniels. Let's go to Patrick B. Jacobs clearly wants a contract and not a tag. If we tag him, he will want a trade. And that might be the case. Unfortunately, though, it happens very frequently when players get tagged and then they're not traded because a team doesn't have to trade them. If there is a team out there that wants to do that, cool, great. But Jacobs will get fined, and you get fined much more heavily when you're franchise tagged. So he would get tagged. He would have until July 15th to be able to sign that deal. This is just one of those things where tagging him makes the most sense for the Raiders, makes the most sense financially, and then if he's like, no, I want to be moved, okay, well then we're at least going to get some sort of draft capital for him. That's why it makes the most sense. Let's go to Splash Mob. If teams are passing teams, then let Jacobs go. So are you saying if our team's a passing team, then let Jacobs go? If you're planning on bringing in a 46-year-old quarterback, if you're planning on bringing in a 31-year-old Jimmy Garoppolo, if you're planning on bringing in a rookie quarterback, guess what? All three of those will need a good running game. Don't think you're going to find a better running back than Jacobs. And if McDaniels and Ziegler are trying to win this season, the thing that makes the most sense is making sure that Josh Jacobs is back on your team next season. Let's go to Cameron Sproul. Virtually nobody saw the Adams deal coming last year. Give us a real splash move by the Raiders this year that nobody sees coming. Wow. I mean, I guess one that probably wouldn't be very good. There was a report from Jeremy Fowler about potentially moving on from Waller or Renfro. I mean, I would say a Waller trade or a Renfro trade could be something that a lot of people would be very surprised about. In terms of bringing a player into the Raiders, I don't want Jalen Ramsey. I'm trying to think more big names off the top of my head. I just know that this team's going to look for free agents because safety, a lot of good names. Cornerbacks, a lot of really good names out there. Linebacker, I mean, you could get Jesse Bates, but he's going to be a free agent, so that's another really good name. I'd say the surprising move would be trading away Hunter Renfro. Let's go to Patrick B. again. If we move up in the draft, it should be for the defensive tackle from Georgia. He is the best prospect in the draft. I agree with that. If you were to tell me to rank my best overall prospects, it is Jalen Carter. The problem with that is, in order to get Jalen Carter, you got to go up really, really high in the draft. And I just believe that this team has way too many holes as it stands right now on the defensive side of the football. I mean, think about it, right? You have 9 confirmed picks. You're going to get 11 after comp picks. And then what happens if you get another few picks from the Derek Carr trade? You are going to have a lot of picks. But when you are trying to rebuild, which is what the Raiders are doing right now after a 6-11 season, you got to understand that they're going to need a lot more picks possible. So I love Carter. The only way I'm trading up for him, though, is if he gets to about pick number 5. And even then, though, you'd probably have to give up a first. And a third, you might even have to give up your second just to go up 2 spots to get him. I do think he's an amazing player, but it is a lot to give up. Now, y'all, we got a new sponsor here on the Raiders Report. Huge shout-out to Athletic Greens, and I was chugging down this the other day, and Chuck was like, yo, what is that? Smells great. Is that for me? Unfortunately, I didn't give any to Chuck because I am trying to be a little bit happier, healthier type of guy. So let me tell you a little bit here about Athletic Greens. The Raiders Report is sponsored by Athletic Greens. I take AG1 by Athletic Greens literally every day. Get comprehensive and convenient daily nutrition at athleticgreens.com/chatsports. I gave AG1 a try because I wanted immune system support and wanted a supplement that actually tastes great. I take AG1 in the morning and it makes me feel ready to take on my day. My grandma always said, the early bird gets the worm. AG1 inspires and motivates me to get as many worms as possible every day. Shout out to Grams. AG1 really helps me with getting my day started. Getting out of bed, especially after some of our watch parties, it can be difficult, man. I'm a person who likes and needs a routine. AG1 helps me stick to my healthy routine. Wake up early, take my AG1, take Chuck for a walk, and then hit the gym before work. Covering my nutritional basis for the day literally couldn't be easier, which is why I trust Athletic Greens. I just mix 1 small scoop of AG1 with water and drink it first thing each morning. Done. Easy. I also like it because it costs less than $3 a day. Pretty good if you ask me. It's a really effective daily habit with the highest quality source ingredients. Win-win. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/chatsports. That's athleticgreens.com/chatsports. Check it out. Link's going to be in the comments and in the description of today's video. Some of y'all have asked me before if I love the product, and I do actually really truly do. And if you want to be able to check out how big some of their supplements are, it's right here. Nice little travel pack. athleticgreens.com/chatsports. Again, available for you guys in the comments and in the description of today's video. All right, let's go now to some more questions here on the mailbag. Gustavo, shout out to you, my guy. Thanks for supporting. Kaiser, I tried to 1,000, but burned out. Hey, it's all good. Somebody took care of it. Carlos did. Maybe if you had some AG1, though, you wouldn't have burned out. Jose, shout out. Al, make more pallets, boy. I don't know what that means, but shout out to you. Patrick B, I think the quarterbacks in this draft are all a reach. There is not one checking all the boxes, not even close. We need a free agent quarterback. I will admit, the quarterbacks in this in the draft class do leave a lot to be desired. I think Bryce Young is incredible, and if he had better like size, he'd be easily the number 1 pick. The size isn't there. I think that's why a lot of people are starting to fall in love with Will Levis, because he's got all the size you want. Giggity. You got Anthony Richardson. Same thing. The upside is there. C.J. Stroud is another really good player. I just don't really think that the Raiders end up taking somebody as a quarterback at number 7. To me, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, maybe if they decide to trade back, that could be an option, but free agency, it's going to be Brady, guys. It's going to be Brady. Let's go to Dum Dum. All right, PFF has Orlando Brown and Mike McGlinchey as their top 2 offensive tackle free agents. Who would you choose? I mean, both players are going to have to pay quite a bit. Personally, I actually think that Orlando Brown Jr. might end up costing more, and I hope that the Chiefs give him a lot of money because I think that would be an overpay. To me, I'm going to go Mike McGlinchey here, and it's really not all that much of a difficult conversation. McGlinchey also is a really, really good run blocker, which, yes, I know the Raiders need pass guys, but he's also good in the passing game. If it's between these 2 dudes in terms of how much money I'm going to spend, it's Mike McGlinchey for me, and I actually don't really think it's all that close. Let's go to Dick So Solid Dixon. Get Cam, then draft Hendon Hooker. I know a lot of people like Hendon Hooker. My only problem with this is you're going to take a quarterback who's right now 24 years old. His rookie year, he's going to be 25. He's not going to play because he's coming off an ACL. So the first time you're really going to get to see him play, 26 years old, coming off an ACL. Probably going to go 3rd round. It's just a little bit. I like Hooker as a prospect, and I would love the jersey. I can't get on board for this. I'm sorry. Let's go to Los. Could Brady back to the Pats and retire there, or is that nonsense? I don't think it happens. I mean, to me, when Gronk the other day spoke about Brady, he said Brady was going to want to go to the place where he can have the most fun. That's what Gronk said, somebody who knows Brady obviously very well. I get that Brady won a lot of Super Bowls in New England, but he had a better relationship with Josh McDaniels. Him and Belichick, yeah, they won. But there was a lot of reports that they didn't get along. So him going back to New England, no. I also believe that the reason why the Patriots hired Bill O'Brien, which if you guys go back 2 weeks ago, I told you all that that was going to happen, is because Bill O'Brien is definitely better than Patricia. Also, though, did work with Mac Jones briefly at Alabama back in 2017. So there's a lot of really good games this week. And Jeremy, we're going to be live for both of the playoff games on Sunday. So hopefully you tune in. You have a good time with us. Let us know, though, who you got in the AFC Championship game. CIN for the Cincinnati Bengals or KC for the Kansas City Chiefs. If you love this mailbag, subscribe. If you love watch parties, subscribe. If you want Raiders content 24/7, Mitchell Renz 365. Hit the subscribe button right now. Turn on the notifications because the offseason for this team always seems like it's an absolute whirlwind, and I can't wait for all the crazy stuff that happens. Every time the Raiders sign somebody in free agency, we go live. Draft, I'm going to be live for it. So if you need Raiders content to get you through the offseason, I promise we're the channel for you. Let's go to Cameron. Mitch, I think the Raiders should trade back from 7 and stack up a few more picks to do this rebuild. How about it? It depends who's on the board. I mean, if Jalen Carter somehow is on the board at 7, no, I'm going to take Jalen Carter. If a team is willing to offer you, substantial picks to try to get up to where you're at, and if maybe the Raiders could add another second and back up a few picks there in the first round, would think about it. If a team would be willing to give you up so much to get another first-round pick, then, yeah, I would do it. I'm always team trade back. There's a lot of really good prospects in this year's draft early on, so if it's there, the value's there, I say let's do it. Let's go to Adrian. Saw an article on Bleacher Report saying Carr for Chase Young and a late-round pick. What do you think? I mean, yeah, sign me up for that in a heartbeat. I don't think that would happen. I mean, I know Chase Young is injured this past season, but there's no way that the Commanders are going to give up Chase Young and a late-round pick for Derek Carr. I just think that there's a lot of people that have far too superior of expectations of what type of quarterback Carr is. And, I believe if you were to ask 32 people, if you were to ask the 20 people here at my Chat Sports Studios, what do they think Derek Carr is? I would say 70% of those people would say Carr isn't a top 15 quarterback. For that reason, no. But imagine Max Crosby and Chase Young. Yeah, good luck stopping that. Let's go to Corey Coleman. Would you trade Derek Carr to the Colts for a 2024 first-round pick and a 2023 second? Yes. I get that you're not going to get that first-round pick in 2024, but the way that I would view that pick is, imagine if the Raiders stink this year. Well, now not only are you going to have a first-round pick in 2024, you're going to have another first-round pick. So if you need be to use those 2 first-round picks and then try to climb up to try to get a guy like Caleb Williams or Drake May, I would do that trade in a freaking heartbeat. But the real thing would be, I don't know if McDaniels or Ziegler would, because they know that they need to win this season. If y'all want to be able to interact with me, y'all know where to find me. Brandon Jasper has said it once, twice, maybe 300 times. If you want live shows, we're over on Locals. I'm going live at least twice a week. News, more personal interaction, hit me up. I love interacting with the nation. Let's go to the Super Chat coming in from Patrick B. Do we get a pick for Mullen? Are there any more? We did get a pick for Mullen. I don't remember what one it was exactly. I believe it was a 6th-round pick is what we ended up getting for Trayvon Mullen. But even if it was a 7th-rounder, I mean, you've seen how much he's been moved around. One of the things that I said about Mullen, and if y'all don't believe me, go back to when I first started breaking down the film on Mullen. He's a good player, but I was told by a very good source that he doesn't love football. And you're starting to see that lack thereof love for football is making him bounce around on all these different teams. He is on Baltimore right now. Interesting, though, because he is related to Lamar Jackson. Maybe Baltimore's trying to do something there. Let's go to Sir Chai 87. Raiders should sign Joe Mixon and Marcus Peters. Well, they won't sign Joe Mixon, again, because of Bolendikoff's daughter, so that's never going to happen. And then Marcus Peters, he's going to want way too much money. There's other cornerbacks out there that you can get for a way better value. Peters at one time was a good player, and yeah, I think in terms of active players still leads the league with interceptions, but no, I'm good on Peters, and Mixon's a good running back, but because of what he did before he was drafted, he's just never going to be a Raider. Let's go to Killer Cruz. What's up, man? It's been a while. What up, Mitch? I'm scared of the offseason. Nah, man, you gotta tackle the offseason probably very similar to how you tackle back day. You just got to get after it, man. It's going to be a good time. Gustavo, roll with Zeus and Brandon Bolden and spend Jacobs' money on defense Chiefs and Eagles make it work without top-tier running backs. Also, thoughts on A-Rich behind TB12. First off, A-Rich behind TB12, personally, I think is best-case scenario for the Raiders because I would want Richardson to learn 1 year behind Brady. Spending the Jacobs money on defense, yeah, I would love to do that, but here's the thing. I would rather pay Jacobs $10.1 million than let Zamir White run, and I actually don't think it's going to be Brandon Bolden. Brandon Bolden's going to be one of my cut candidates because you can cut Bolden, and it ends up saving you like $2.4 million. So I'd rather save the $2.4 on Brandon Bolden. The running backs that the Raiders are probably going to lean on more next year if Jacobs doesn't come back is going to be Zamir White, Britton Brown from UCLA. Also a name to keep in mind, Sincere McCormick. Amir Abdullah is a free agent. A lot of different things that they could end up making work out, though. Wild One, what up, bro? Also, Wild One and a few other people on Mount Rushmore have decided new name, Mount Raidermore. It's official. So if you're watching the show, Mount Raidermore is how we will refer to Wild One, David Zahn, Raider Ron, Raiders Podcast, and Trivan. Realistically, I don't see us getting more than a fourth and a third pushing it. Carr will want to protect his new team's assets. He has a veto on trades. He does have a veto on trades, but also he wants that $40.4 million. And I believe there's going to be teams out there that might be willing to give up a little bit more. And I hear you, though. Carr might want to help the other teams. But also, the Raiders could say, no, we're not going to do that. We're just going to cut you. Sure, the Raiders would want something in return. But I think Carr is going to be a lot more willing to take a trade than what people think. So let's go to Shane. What about Max Duggan? He has an arm. He does have an arm. He actually has two. Mobile and can relate to Tom Brady since they have a similar road to getting to start a quarterback. Third, fourth round pick. I'll tell you this. I said this before the game against Georgia. I'm not a big Max Duggan fan. Max Duggan to me is a quarterback that he reminds me of a dude like Sam Ehlinger. Like, they could be a third string, maybe a good backup. Like, I do think Duggan could be one of those quarterbacks where he hangs out in the NFL 6-7 years and can be a good backup because he has those intangibles. He has good leadership skills, and he can rally a team. But in terms of being a quarterback in the NFL, like, the highest, I wouldn't take Duggan in the top 5 rounds. If he's there 6 and 7, cool, but no chance 3rd and 4th round. All right, guys, this is going to be the final question here because Jeremy and I, we're actually, by the time y'all watch this, are going to be getting ready to go live here for Eagles and 49ers. So let us know who you got in this game. I don't care who wins the Super Bowl as long as it's not the Niners and the Chiefs. So I'm going to be rooting for Philly. We're going to be rooting for Cincinnati, and hopefully y'all agree with Chugs and I. Let us know who you got in the NFC Championship game.